We're back on the MSG 150 at Home presented by Chase, Bill Pito and Alan Hahn, and our pleasure to bring in Brian Baldinger, former NFL offensive lineman, now an analyst for NFL Network. Brian, thanks so much for joining us. It's great to see you.
Yeah, thanks, Bill. Alan, good to be with you guys, man. Thank you.
All right, so the state of New Jersey is now allowing pro teams to train and compete. But what are the challenges that might be ahead now, Brian, for the Jets and the Giants as they get ready for the potential regular season?
Well, I mean, it's just, it's still very limited. Safety is still the primary concern. And so, we don't want to, whether it's the state of New Jersey and pro teams opening up or whether it's any business, we don't want to go backwards from where we've been. And so, I think, if we can keep the coronavirus, to a very, very minimum, if any positive cases at all. I mean, that's the challenge right now. If somebody gets a positive case anywhere, what's going to happen? I mean, that's the big question, whether it's business or sports right now. And so all the precautions are going to be taken. But, I mean, this is the first step. I mean, no team in the NFL has been together yet. The Jets and the Giants, since free agency, the draft, trades, they have never, ever been all together in one room. And so, whether it's on the practice field, in the meeting room right now, just getting to know one another. For the Giants, Joe Judge and his staff, they have never met these players yet. And so it's really the first introduction to a new team right now.
And Baldy, I know along with NFL Network, you spent some time, you've done some work with the Eagles and their broadcasting as well. So Joe Douglas was there for a little while, as long as learning as he did there, and with the Ravens. And talk about having your first draft be a virtual draft for an experience for a GM, what that must have been like. But assess what you see out of Joe Douglas so far with the Jets, not just the draft, but also what they've done so far in free agency.
Well, they had a lot of holes to fill, Alan, and so they didn't fill them all. They're still looking for a cornerback right now. But I've known Joe a long, long time, since he was just an area scout with the Ravens. I talked to him throughout the draft and then after the draft. I think he was excited to get his first pick, Mekhi Becton. Now, that was the guy he wanted all along. If he had gone earlier to any of the teams, whether it was the Giants or anybody else, he probably wouldn't have gone tackle in the first round. But, if you look at Joe and you look at his history, I mean, he's been around Jonathan Ogden with the Ravens, first ballot Hall of Famer. He's been around Jason Peters with the Eagles. He's going to be a first ballot Hall of Famer, I believe, whenever he decides to retire in 5 years thereafter. But, I mean, he wants to anchor his offensive line. That's where it's going to start. He made the pledge to Sam Darnold's parents that he's going to protect Sam. And I think if you look what he's done in free agency right now, what he did with the draft, that's the foundation to this Jets team. And that's the one area I think Joe wanted to fix, and I think he's really addressed it.
Brian, what about the situation with Jamal Adams, and what do you think the Jets should do? Because obviously that is a potential cloud hanging over what may happen here down the line in the near term.
Well, look, he's been their best player. He's been their best player for 3 years. He's never missed a start. When you watch Jamal, he's the voice of the Jets. He's the voice of the Jets defense right now. But he still has 2 years left in his contract. I mean, I just don't think that the Jets are going to feel compelled to get his extension done anytime soon. I mean, I know the trade winds are out there. They have been out there. But I don't believe that they want to trade Jamal Adams. I think they want to make him a Jet for life. But, they have signed a lot of guys in free agency. Their cap space has dwindled. I don't know that they have to do it this year. I think they have to do it by next offseason. I think earlier the better, because the price tag is only going to go up. But I don't think it's priority number one right now to get Jamal Adams' extension finished. You look at the Dallas Cowboys, they didn't fall in line when Carson Wentz and Jared Goff got extended last offseason. Now they got to pay the price. The price has only gone up. And that's really the challenge right now. Every day that the price that they don't address Jamal Adams, the price tag for his services probably only go up. So they only have to – it's only going to get more expensive to hold on to his services long term.
You see also that Jalen Ramsey said he'll play, even though he knows his situation right now in L.A. He wants a contract, but he's going to show up for training camp, and we'll see, obviously, what happens with Jamal. But an interesting move by the Jets in their quarterback room was adding Joe Flacco, an experienced Super Bowl winner who wasn't sure what he was going to do at this point in his career. What does that do for the Jets, and especially for Sam Darnold?
Well, I think it's a big deal for Sam to have a veteran guy there. He had one his rookie year, and I think it really, really helped him. And I think having Joe there, an experienced guy that really doesn't need to start, isn't looking to start, isn't looking to challenge him, but can be that guy on the sidelines in the film room every day. They drafted Mike Morgan out of Florida International. I think that they really, really like as kind of, a backup guy all the way. They don't look to him to become a starter. But I think when you look at that quarterback room right now, I think it's drastically improved from a year ago. And all the pieces around him, I think, only help Sam Darnold.
Brian, you went to Duke. Daniel Jones went to Duke. Talking about the Giants quarterback situation, we know you love the guy from Duke.
I do. And I do. And
you have to love the guy from Duke.
But not just because of that. I mean, look, when he came out of, high school in Charlotte, he could have gone to Princeton. He could have gone to Duke. He didn't have a lot of options. He's a kind of a self-made kid, to be honest with you. He's a phenomenal athlete. You watch him play basketball. You watch him compete. He's really, really smart. I mean, I felt like he was the second coming of Eli Manning with an injection of athletic ability. I thought last year was a tough year because it was hard for him on a bad team to really take control. He turned the ball over far too many times. That's got to be his number one priority. Ball security this year is priority number one. I think if he improves in that area, I think the reads, the way that he goes through his progressions, his decision-making, I think all of that is really, really good. I think the offensive line should be vastly improved. I think with Saquon kind of bouncing back behind a better offensive line, I think Daniel Jones should take big steps forward this year. We got to see what Jason Garrett was going to do with him. The experience that Jason Garrett has as a quarterback himself, been in the quarterback room his whole life, what he did with Dak Prescott, I think all those things are good things for Mr. Jones.
Well, you mentioned offensive line, and obviously it's extremely important, as you would know yourself personally, and both teams go offensive tackle in the first round. Andrew Thomas for the Giants and Becton, who you mentioned with the Jets. From your experience, as you said, during this time, no one's in the facility. Your workouts are basically virtual right now. Does this affect those guys, the offensive linemen especially, because you know how important it is to understand the system and also get that chemistry with the other offensive linemen?
I think it's the most affected area of the whole team right now, Alan. And because you can put all the new faces together. Like the Jets may have 4 new starters, maybe 5 new starters on their offensive line. The Giants certainly are going to have a new right tackle. The chemistry and the timing that you get on the field together to where it becomes a nonverbal communication. It's just an understanding. I mean, they have to collectively think with one mind, 5 or 6 different guys, including the tight ends, including the backs. I mean, the time that you would get right now in OTAs, if we were during the regular, the regular off season, normal off season, is invaluable. And they may not get that right now until who knows when training camp is going to begin. And so I think it's going to be the most affected area in the team, and how quickly 5 new guys can come together and really collectively think as one. And as the Giants, it's a new offense, a new system, a new terminology. That's going to be new for Will Hernandez and Nate Solder and everybody else up there right now. So I think those teams are really going to be affected greatly by this offseason and all the challenges that it presents.
Brian, when you look big picture now in the AFC East, Patriots totally unproven at quarterback. Buffalo had an excellent year last year. We've touched on the Jets here a little bit. What do you think big picture about the AFC East?
Well, I think, I think everybody has improved. The Patriots that had won the division 10 years in a row, everybody has looked up to them. I think it's gotten a lot closer. You saw it at the end of the year last year. You saw the Dolphins beat the Patriots to knock them out of the home field advantage. You saw Buffalo compete really well with them. In fact, Tom Brady had his lowest quarterback rating since 2006 against Buffalo in their first meeting, week 6. So I think everybody has closed the gap on New England, but I think it's still, whether it's Jarrett Stidham at quarterback or anybody else right now, I think their defense is above everybody else's defense in the division. And I think that will carry the Patriots along with their expectations inside that building in Foxborough. So I think the Patriots are still the team to beat because nobody has beaten them. But I think everybody has closed the gap. Buffalo looks to be the best challenger right now, simply because I think they just keep building the right way around Josh Allen. And I think the additions that they've made to that team right now I think that's the best challenger right now in the AFC East.
Hey, Brian, we'll leave it there. Thanks so much for your time. Great to see you. Best to you and your family.
Thanks, Bill. The pleasure now. Take care, guys.